My name is Eleanor Vance, though everyone calls me Ellie. I was 30 years old, a digital marketing manager, when my mother, Victoria, slapped me across the face at my own engagement party. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, it was a brutal act of rage, all because I refused to hand over the $60,000 wedding fund I had meticulously saved for 7 years. That money was meant for the dream wedding Ethan and I had planned, a symbol of our future. But my mother, with my father's passive consent, believed it was theirs for the taking. Specifically, to bail out my financially reckless sister, Serafina Victoria's golden child, who could do no wrong. What should have been the happiest day of my life transformed into a public nightmare of family betrayal. If you've ever had to stand firm against overwhelming family pressure, please hit that like and subscribe button. I grew up in what appeared to be a perfectly normal, affluent household in the picturesque Hudson Valley, New York. My father, Richard, was a quiet, withdrawn man, while my mother, Victoria, was a socialite and the unquestioned matriarch, always focused on appearances. My sister Serafina, 3 years my junior, was the effervescent golden child. I, on the other hand, was the responsible one. My parents, especially my mother, never managed money well, always living on the edge of financial precarity. With credit card debt a constant presence, Serafina learned from this, accumulating debt from an early age, which my parents always covered, no questions asked. I observed this cycle with growing unease. At 18, I vowed I would never live that way. I worked 3 demanding jobs to pay for my college education, as my parents claimed nothing left for my tuition. Having poured money into Seraphine's fleeting passions, I graduated with minimal student loans, working relentlessly and maintaining a high GPA. After college, I continued my frugal habits, sharing a cramped apartment and driving an old car, meticulously saving every penny for financial security and a future wedding. By 30, I had amassed $60,000 specifically for this. Meanwhile, Serafina bounced from one failed venture to another, multi-level marketing, cryptocurrency, artisanal candles, and finally, a disastrous spiritual wellness foundation. Each left a trail of debt, always covered by my parents, who were now nearing financial ruin themselves. 3 months before my engagement party, Seraphine's Spiritual Wellness Foundation completely imploded, revealed as a thinly veiled pyramid scheme. She had accumulated a staggering $90,000 in personal debts and was facing serious legal threats. My parents had already poured over $30,000 of their rapidly dwindling savings into it, but it was nowhere near enough. My mother began subtly hinting about Seraphine's troubles, clearly setting the stage to ask for money. I never imagined how far they would go. I met Ethan Hayes 2 years ago. He was an architect, grounded, kind, and respected my financial discipline. We planned our engagement party at the Grand Willow Estate, a breathtaking venue. I paid the substantial deposit and coordinated every detail. Ethan even began contributing to the fund once we were engaged. It was to be a monumental celebration of our love, a culmination of years of hard work. The day of our engagement party arrived, perfect and magical. Ethan and I arrived early, savoring the moment. His parents, the Robertsons, flew in from Vancouver, embracing me warmly and giving us a precious family heirloom. My parents and Serafina arrived nearly an hour late. My mother's smile didn't reach her eyes, and Serafina seemed uncomfortable. Throughout the night, I noticed my parents in deep, strained conversations with Serafina in secluded corners. A familiar tension hung in the air, but I tried to ignore it, determined not to let it taint my special night. After Ethan's heartfelt toast where he re-proposed to me, my heart swelled with happiness. As dinner was about to be served, my mother, Victoria, steered me into a secluded alcove with my father and Serafina. Ellie, darling, we need your help, she began, her voice falsely sweet. Serafina muttered about her foundation imploding and owing very serious people $90,000. My mother then revealed her true intent, saying, "Sweetie, we know about your wedding fund. It's exactly the amount we need." A cold dread spread through me. "No," I said firmly, pulling my hands away. My mother's tone hardened instantly. "Serafina needs exactly $60,000 to make this go away. These aren't people you mess with, darling. She could get hurt. And if they come after Serafina, they might come after all of us. And what about my wedding?" I demanded, anger bubbling. "The one I've been saving for 7 years. The one I actually earned. You can have a charming, intimate ceremony, or postpone it," my mother suggested, patronizingly. "You're so good at saving." I laughed bitterly. "No, she wouldn't. She's never saved a dime in her life, and she's never paid back a single loan. She's never lifted a finger to help anyone." Seraphine's face darkened. Family comes first, Eleanor, my mother snapped. Serafina would do the same for you. I looked at nearby guests, noticing our escalating tension. Look, I said, lowering my voice. I'm genuinely sorry you're in trouble, Serafina, but that money is spoken for. I cannot, and will not, give you my wedding fund. My mother's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Is your fancy wedding worth your sister's safety? Worth your father's peace of mind? Worth the Vance name being dragged through the mud? If it's that serious, go to the police, I snapped. We can't, Serafina interjected, panicked. There are contracts, agreements I signed. Things my answer is no. I'm not giving you my wedding fund, not a single penny. I tried to step around them, but my mother blocked me. You selfish, ungrateful child, she hissed, her facade cracking. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me? Mom, I countered, years of resentment pouring out. You didn't pay for my education. You didn't help with my first apartment. You've never even asked about my career unless you needed something. You just kept asking for more, taking more, expecting more. My father whimpered, looking utterly helpless. My mother's face contorted with rage, her perfect socialite composure completely shattered. Her hand came up and swung, sharply cracking against my cheek. The force knocked me backward against a stone planter, my head hitting its rough, cold edge with a dull thud. My cheek burned, and I tasted blood. The entire party froze. 80 pairs of eyes witnessed my public humiliation. Olivia, my best friend, had her phone out, recording. Ethan reached us in seconds, putting himself between us, his body language radiating raw, protective fury. Don't you ever touch her again, he said, shaking with fury. I straightened, touching my throbbing cheek. A strange calm settled over me. I looked my mother in the eyes, my voice quiet but firm. You just revealed every lie this family was built on. Then, without another word, I walked away, pulling out my phone and dialing 911. I'd like to report an assault, I told the dispatcher, surprisingly steady. My mother just slapped me at my engagement party. Olivia confirmed she had the incident on video. Ethan brought me ice. My mother appeared, shrieking, You called the police. Over a little family disagreement? Have you lost your mind, Eleanor? What about appearances? You assaulted me in front of 80 people, Mom, I retorted. That's not a disagreement. That's a crime. My father weakly admitted she hit me hard. 2 police cruisers arrived, their lights flashing. I gave my statement. Olivia showed the video, and I pointed out the venue's security cameras that also captured everything. My mother's face, realizing the cameras, was a terrifying mix of shock and rage. Officer Ramirez returned. The footage confirms your account. Ms. Vance, we're taking your mother into custody for assault, public intoxication, and resisting arrest. As they handcuffed her, she shrieked, How could you do this to your own mother? Eleanor, for money? You'll regret this. It's not about the money, Mom, I replied clearly. It's about respect and boundaries. And the fact that you thought it was okay to hit me? As they led her away, she blurted out frantically, The foundation. They know about the missing funds, Eleanor Serafina ... She'll be ruined. They'll come. After all of us. They know where you live. Officer Ramirez's eyes narrowed, but my mother clamped her mouth shut. Serafina then interjected that my mother was running some investment fund that got complicated. The officers exchanged glances, promising to investigate further. My father pleaded with me to drop the charges, blaming desperation and bad luck. I leaned into Ethan. I want some distance from all of them, I decided. Complete and total distance, at least until I can figure out what kind of relationship, if any, is even possible after this. The week that followed was a disorienting blur of police statements, tearful, manipulative phone calls from my father, and awkward hushed explanations to friends and colleagues. Ethan took time off work to support me. His unwavering presence. My anchor. 3 days after the arrest, Officer Ramirez called me with disturbing news. The initial investigation into my mother's so-called wellness foundation had rapidly uncovered a long-standing, elaborate pattern of illegal activity stretching back almost a decade. Your mother, Victoria Vance, has been operating a sophisticated pyramid scheme, she explained, actively recruiting investors and siphoning off significant donations for her own personal use. That's how she's been maintaining your family's lifestyle, bailing out Seraphine's failed ventures, and propping up their increasingly fragile social image. I sat heavily on my couch, the air punched out of my lungs. This explains so much about our family dynamics, the mysterious donors, the charity galas, the constant need for emergency funds. It had all been a house of cards, built on deception. More shocking revelations followed when my Aunt Carol, my mother's estranged sister, called me the very next day. "Ellie, I saw what happened on Olivia's social media," she began, her voice heavy with sorrow. She then told me that my mother had borrowed $20,000 from her 5 years ago, claiming it was for my advanced medical treatments after a fictional, debilitating rare illness. This call triggered an avalanche of similar, horrifying revelations. My mother's cousin had invested $15,000 in a secure family trust that my mother had presented as my future inheritance. My sweet, trusting grandmother had contributed $7,000 to what she thought was a specialized art program I needed. Even my childhood piano teacher had loaned my mother $5,000 for my down payment on a starter apartment. All told, my mother had systematically siphoned nearly $80,000 from our extended family and close friends by brazenly using my name and fabricating fictional needs as the pretense. My reputation was systematically tarnished when I called each relative one by one to explain the truth and offer my sincerest apologies. Most were understanding, but the damage to our relationships would take considerable time to repair. Meanwhile, Serafina was facing her own painful reckoning. With my mother embroiled in serious legal trouble and my father frantically trying to secure a lawyer he couldn't afford, Serafina was suddenly without her usual safety net. Her creditors were calling relentlessly. She showed up at my apartment, unannounced, 5 days after the engagement party, looking utterly haggard and desperate. "Can we talk, Ellie? Please," she asked. I let her in, leaving the door slightly ajar. Serafina paced my small living room. "This is all such a mess. Mom's lawyer says she could face serious jail time. Dad's a complete wreck, and these people I owe money to are getting really impatient." "What do you want from me, Serafina?" I asked tiredly. "I've already told you I'm not giving you my wedding fund." I know, she said quickly, desperation coloring her voice. "But maybe you could loan me just enough to make a good faith payment, like $10,000, just to buy me some time to figure things out." I stared at her in disbelief, the sheer gall of the request almost laughable. "Are you serious right now? After everything that's happened, after Mom hit me for saying no, after finding out she used my name to steal from our own family, I'm desperate here, Eleanor," she exclaimed, tears welling in her eyes. "These aren't nice people. They've started calling Dad too, showing up at the house, demanding payment. Then go to the police," I suggested again. "I can't." She looked genuinely terrified. Mom wasn't just helping me with money from her foundation. She was using my business to move money around. She told me it was just creative accounting. But now I see it was fraud. If I go to the police, I could be implicated too. She said I wouldn't have to ask questions, that she'd handle everything. I felt a cold wave of sickening realization wash over me. "Were you involved in Mom's scheme?" "How deeply?" Serafina wouldn't meet my eyes. "Not directly. I just ... I knew about it. And sometimes, I let them use my foundation accounts to move donations around. I didn't ask questions because Mom always said it was for the family and that I could be the face of wellness. I just wanted to keep her happy, and I got to keep some of the money." Oh my God. I sank onto my couch, the weight of it all suffocating. "Me? Our entire family is a criminal enterprise, isn't it?" "Not you, Ellie," Serafina said, a hint of bitterness. Perfect Eleanor, always following the rules. Just then, Ethan arrived with takeout, his cheerful whistle abruptly cutting off. When he saw Seraphine's distraught face and my grim expression, he assessed the situation quickly, setting the food down and coming to stand beside me. "Everything okay here?" he asked, his tone making it clear he was ready to ask Serafina to leave. Serafina was just explaining how she and Mom were involved in running a fraudulent charity, I said, too exhausted for subtlety. Ethan's eyebrows shot up. "I think it's time for you to go, Serafina," he told her firmly. "Fine." Serafina headed for the door, then turned back, her shoulders slumped, looking smaller and more vulnerable than I had ever seen her. "For what it's worth, I am sorry about what happened at your party. Mom was way out of line. And I'm sorry about everything, Elle. I've been so incredibly selfish. I see that now. Truly." She paused, her gaze distant. "But you could have just helped family. Elle, that's what we're supposed to do for each other, always." After she left, the silence in my apartment felt heavy. I broke down in Ethan's arms, the dam finally bursting. "I don't even know who they are anymore," I sobbed. Everything I thought about my childhood, about our family dynamics, it was all built on lies and manipulation. All of it was fake. Ethan held me tightly. Later that evening, my phone lit up with a text from my father. "Your mother's bail is set at $50,000. We don't have it. Please, Ellie, help us. This is tearing the family apart. I showed the message to Ethan, who shook his head. They're still trying to get your money, just in a different way now. The cycle continues. I turned off my phone, curling up next to Ethan. I need some distance from all of them, I decided. The distance that came, born of necessity and self-preservation, was both profoundly liberating and agonizingly painful. I always thought I was the problem. I told Dr. Simmons, my therapist, too rigid, too cautious, too unwilling to help family. I believed I was the cold one, but I was just responding to their constant taking, their endless demands. That's called gaslighting, she explained gently. I began keeping a journal, documenting memories that now appeared in a harsh, clear light. Ethan remained my unshakable rock. He never pressured me to reconcile. My father, Richard, and Serafina eventually began attending family counseling with Dr. Simmons, separately at first, then occasionally together. Progress was agonizingly slow. My father's remorse felt superficial, constantly reverting to excuses. Serafina, though, slowly, painfully, began to truly see the depth of her mother's manipulation and her own extensive complicity. Her apologies became more genuine as she grappled with the devastating personal and financial consequences. Months after the engagement party disaster, I received a cautiously worded email from Serafina. She was working 2 jobs, bartending and waiting tables, to pay off her legitimate debts. She was also taking night classes for a certification in medical coding, a practical skill. It's like everyone's gone, she wrote, referring to her former influencer friends. It's lonely, but also quieter. I don't miss the pressure to pretend, I replied carefully, offering genuine empathy. There was a long pause before her next message, and I'm sorry, Serafina continued, raw with emotion. For everything. For the engagement party. For all the money over the years. For not seeing how hard you worked while I've been so incredibly selfish, Elle. I see that. Now truly, it was a beginning, a fragile, tentative start. 6 months after the engagement party, Victoria Vance's trial concluded. She was found guilty of multiple counts of grand larceny, wire fraud, and operating a fraudulent scheme. My father, Richard, who had eventually cooperated with the authorities, received a much lighter sentence for his passive, enabling involvement. I didn't attend the sentencing. It wasn't about vengeance for me, but about closure, about severing the toxic ties that had bound me for so long. My relationship with my father remained strained, marked by his persistent inability to offer a true, unvarnished apology for his role in enabling Victoria's decades of manipulation. He looked older, his face etched with stress and defeat. Our first visit was tense, he said. Thank you for coming, Eleanor. Your mother thought it was important that you visit. I waited for an apology, an acknowledgement, but he just sat there, uncomfortable. Is there something you wanted to say to me, Dad? I finally asked. He shifted, avoiding my gaze. I'm sorry, things got so out of hand at your party. I was under a lot of pressure. Your mother was very stressed. It wasn't a real apology, just another excuse. I nodded, a quiet acceptance. I hope the counseling helps, I said, and I hope when you come home, you'll have found healthier ways to deal with pressure and found your own voice. 1 year after the devastating engagement party, Ethan and I stood hand in hand under a canopy of twinkling string lights in the intimate, verdant garden of a small, local historical society. It was our reimagined wedding. Only our closest friends and Ethan's wonderfully supportive family were present. The grand, lavish wedding I had once envisioned felt like a distant, shallow dream compared to the profound meaning of this intimate ceremony. My wedding dress, simpler but no less elegant, felt absolutely perfect, a symbol of my new, authentic self. The Robertsons had been incredibly supportive, stepping in as the loving, stable family I desperately needed. Mrs. Robertson had helped me find my dress, and Mr. Robertson had insisted on contributing to our honeymoon, a week-long trip to a quiet, serene coastal town, a much-needed time for reflection. We're so incredibly proud of both of you, Mrs. Robertson whispered as she embraced me after the ceremony. The way you've handled everything, Eleanor, with such grace and strength, shows what a truly strong, unbreakable foundation you have together. My father, Richard, attended the wedding alone, dressed conservatively and keeping mostly to himself. Our relationship remained distant but respectful, built on fragile new boundaries. He had accepted the need for therapy and the space I required. My mother, Victoria, was still serving her sentence. Serafina attended, looking healthier and more centered than I'd seen her in years. She had managed to pay off most of her debts and was thriving in her new career path, a stark contrast to her previous life. Our bond, once fractured beyond repair, was slowly, tentatively mending. We had started therapy sessions together, and while the progress was slow, it was genuine. She was trying, truly trying, to understand the damage her past actions and her mother's had caused. I think I'm actually happy now, Elle, she confessed during a quiet moment at the wedding. Real happy, not the pretend kind. I hugged her then, a genuine healing embrace that felt foreign yet profoundly right. I'm happy for you, Serafina, I whispered back. My original wedding fund, the $60,000, had gone to therapy for myself and Serafina, legal fees, to manage the fallout from my mother's actions, and most significantly, a substantial down payment on a beautiful, modest home for Ethan and me. I regretted none of these decisions. During the months of healing and rebuilding, I had connected with other survivors of family financial abuse through an online support group recommended by Dr. Simmons. Their stories helped me realize how common this pattern was and how difficult it could be to break free from family expectations, especially for women who are often conditioned to be givers and peacekeepers. I had even begun volunteering with a financial literacy program for young adults, sharing my experience as a cautionary tale and empowering others to set healthy financial boundaries. Even with family, I no longer felt the need to prove my worth through an expensive wedding or to earn my family's approval through financial sacrifice. The freedom in that realization was perhaps the greatest gift of this difficult year. My life was finally my own, unburdened by their chaos. Later that night, as we danced under the string lights to our last song, I whispered to Ethan, "Thank you for helping me learn what real family truly means." He kissed my forehead gently. "We're just getting started," he promised. And as our guests surrounded us with love and well wishes, I knew it was true. The family we would build together would have different values, different patterns, and different definitions of loyalty than the one I had grown up in. That family had been built on financial dependence, unspoken obligations, and the fear of saying no. Ours would be built on mutual support, honest communication, unwavering respect, and the freedom to set healthy boundaries. The road to healing would be long. My relationship with my parents and sister would continue to evolve with setbacks and difficult conversations. But I finally had peace, a true partner, and a life truly my own. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the greatest twist in your story is the moment you decide to become its true author. Tell me in the comments, from where you are watching this beautiful story,